record that if global geoengineering was started, it could cause droughts in Asia and Africa. And they state that to the American public for probably obvious reasons. Why would they tell the American public that it could also cause droughts here? Why wouldn't it cause droughts here? There's nothing special about America and the geography here that would not have the same effect as Asia and Africa. If the atmosphere is filled with particulates, those particulates diminish and disperse rainfall. Period. There's too many condensation nuclei, so the water droplets do not combine and fall as rain. They simply adhere to those tiny particles and migrate further, and that's exactly what we see.
One of the suggestions about geoengineering has been that we genetically modify trees and plants. We genetically modify crops to be aluminum resistant, and this is ongoing at this time. And part of the geoengineering scheme is to say we're going to put all these chemicals and particles into our atmosphere, which is going to cause air pollution, water pollution, changes in soil pH, and could disrupt agriculture crop production to a great degree. So therefore, instead of saying that maybe this isn't a good idea that we pollute our air, water, and soils with the chemicals we're going to put into the atmosphere, which do come back down, there's a scheme abounding, which is happening right now, to modify some crops so that they are aluminum resistant to the types of chemicals and particles they're going to put into the atmosphere.
It's just going to get worse until the point where we're not going to be able to grow anything at all unless it's a Monsanto genetically modified abiotic stress resistant seed.
The chemical companies and the and Monsanto and all of these companies are working together to make us totally dependent on their products for growing corn or growing any kind of agricultural product or trees, whatever. We're going to corporatize not only where the rainfall goes and who gets it through geoengineering and weather modification schemes, but we're also going to say that these are going to be the only crops that are going to grow in areas where we're putting in toxic chemicals that are coming down and altering the soils.
One of the most basic things about human society is that we need food and water. And these are two of the things that are most severely dependent upon good weather. Rain at the right time of the year, sunshine so crops can grow, not enough sunshine and they don't grow, too much water, the plants die, not enough water, the plants die. All of this goes back to the amount of food that's available. So if you starve people, they will be vulnerable. They will be much easier to manipulate and forced to do whatever a government wants them to do.
We had the facts out there. We had the documentation about the rain sample, scientists coming out and talking about it. And for a lot of people, especially at that time, the environment is changing. However, it's very difficult for people to believe that somebody would do that to somebody else, something so harmful. And that's because most of the people in the world are good people, and they don't have intentions. But if we look at power, power is an addiction, especially godlike power. And again, geoengineer David Keith said geoengineering gives man godlike power. And in any addiction, we see people do things that are harmful to themselves and also many times harmful, to the very people that they love. So that not only do they overlook that, but we have to look at this, and this is a depopulation agenda. These people are clinically many of them psychopaths. They don't have the moral conviction that we would have. The way our corporate mainstream media, owned by 6 or 7 families that are really, controlling the very corporate interests that benefit from these programs. If you look at the campaigns that they put on the nightly news in terms of, let's say, whether it's the Iraq War or going into, with the military movement into a certain region, they prime the public with billions and billions of dollars around the nation for several hours a day in order to get the public to accept their agenda. And that's how they do it. And they have an agenda that's been pumped for 20 years now. They've been priming the public in order to accept this. Now they're starting to have a fallout. And the reason, when you have truth, when you speak truth, you can vaporize 20 years and billions and trillions of dollars time that they put in just with 5 minutes of truth. And we are seeing that, and that's why we're effective. But it's so important, the things that the chemtrail girls and, Troy Lessard with Global March Against Chemtrails and Geoengineering, people need to see this on a daily basis. And
that are aware of this, and they will say that when the spraying takes place, they can notice a lethargy that takes over their body and aches and pains. Is this something that you're also hearing, either Michael or Suzanne?
I've noticed, for myself, I've noticed a lot of irritability in people, headaches, nausea. That could have something to do with the frequencies that are being emitted. And when we're filled with conductors, like aluminum, other metals, then we become a conductor for the Wi-Fi, all of the other things. And I think that does have an effect on our emotions and the way that we feel. So, yeah, I mean, certain days I have noticed, that I've been I've had a lot of anxiety and stuff, and then I go out and sure enough, the skies are just completely polluted with trails. Other days, we'll have, heavy aerosol spraying, and I feel good. So I think there are a number of different programs associated with the aerosol spraying. So, for instance, some days there could be, certain testing going on or certain objectives when they're spraying different things. And I think that's what we're seeing, because it's not every day that I notice these symptoms. But, without question, yeah, a lot of people have noticed this. I've spoken to, a lot of emergency room physicians. I have a couple of friends who are physicians. They say that their emergency rooms get packed on heavy spray days.